Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 10-round affair for the vacant Universal Boxing Organization's Continental Super Lightweight Championship. Fighting out of the blue corner with a professional record of 10 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. Hailing from India, this is Shivam! And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner with a professional record of 10 wins, no losses, and no draws. Hailing from Turkey, this is Ege Arin Konuk! Judges ringside, Waruten Kau, Tanakon Tantong, Vimai Bolsuan. Supervisor for this bout, Surapot Hong V. Vanit. Referee in charge of the action, Gerald Basig.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Here we go, moving on to fight number 3. This is another title fight in the UBO boxing organization, and it's in the super or lightweight division. It is Turkey taking on India. We've got Shivam in the blue corner representing India. 11 fights in his record, 10 victories, only 1 defeat, no draws. And then we've got a regular on the FCC and Highland shows, Ege Arin Konuk, twin brother of FA, who will be competing later on. He is an undefeated fighter, 10 fights in his record, 10 victories. Great style. I mean, for me, I really like the way that Ege fights. He's just got such a good, clean, crisp boxing style, really good at outboxing his opponents. I don't know about you, Jim. I mean,
yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm a big fan of the twins here. I mean, being a twin myself, I've got to be a fan of them. And they're real boxers. That's the main thing here, like you were saying. Like, they're fighters, they're real boxers, and they really try and piece their opponent apart and really try and find weaknesses in their opponent's game. So, very exciting people and 2 good fighters that you can watch and you can actually study and learn a lot from them. A very nice start by both of these fighters, but of course we see Ege starting off with a nice high guard and a nice jab. Beautiful footwork as well to evade damage, but a very tough fight for him. Maybe one of his toughest fights on paper at the moment, taking on Shivam. You know, Shivam's a very good boxer from India. 10 wins, only 1 loss. So it's a very, very close fight on paper.
See Ege just really trying to land that left straight as a counter. As soon as Shivam comes into range, see, there you go again, just trying to flash it out.
But yeah, it's that classic southpaw against an orthodox move as well. If you're a southpaw, the shot you're trying to land is your left hand, and it's once you get that foot on the outside of your opponent's lead leg. So that's exactly what we're looking for now. But both fighters are aware of it, so it's kind of a cat and mouse game of I know you know situation, and it's very entertaining to see who's going to land it first and who's going to land it strong. Once we see that first strong punch landed, Ali, I think we're going to see a lot more fireworks in this fight.
I still think that, like what we were saying, complimenting Ricardo Rizzi in the fight before, everything's got to come off the jab. I feel like Ege is just trying to get this finished in the first round and loading up too much on his punches early on, Jim.
I mean, it's very entertaining as well to see that, they're representing the same fight promotion and also the same gym, and using that jab is one of the most important things in boxing. You can tell that a lot of the fighters are getting really good coaching right now because their head movement, their defense, their guard, and their jab are all on point at the moment. So very nicely done by both of these fighters. And you can see, with Shivam, he's the longer fighter, but he seemed to be trying to walk down Ege, and that's where Ege likes to be. Ege likes to eat you up on the close and medium range as Shivam sticks his tongue out at Ege.
Yeah, a bit of taunts in there from Shivam. Hit the 30-second mark now for round number 1. We are set for 10 rounds of action. Let's see if it goes that long.
A beautiful rear uppercut landed by Shivam as well, and it's that shot that we always talk about against the southpaw. You want to try and throw that rear uppercut to the chest of your opponent. If it doesn't hit their chest, it tends to hit their chin, and if it hits the chest, it's a very good shot to knock your opponent back. That is the clapper for 10 seconds, Ali. A very good round.
Yeah, great round so far. I feel like Ege started to come into his groove later on towards the end of the round. Shivam, though, definitely had his moments with these right hands that we've seen right now on the replays, catching Ege as soon as he was trying to wind up. Ege, like I said, as the round finished, felt like he had much more success near towards the end of the round.
It was a great round for both fighters. Both fighters, I mean, you know, we can see that this is a thinking man's sport right now. Both fighters trying to outthink one another. And that is the classic southpaw against an orthodox. You're trying to, it's the battle of the footwork and who can get their power shot off first almost. Because if you miss with your power shot, you're open to your opponent's power shot a lot more when it's orthodox against a southpaw. So I'd really like to see Shivam be a little bit more active with that jab and really let that right hand go. It looks like he was kind of toying with the idea of throwing uppercut without actually doing it. I'd like to see him let his hands go, and this is typical of Ege. Ege is very relaxed, and Ege is a full-length fighter, as we like to call them. He goes a full fight and really doesn't give too much away until the later rounds anyways.
Here we go, round number 2 coming up. So, super lightweight UBO title fight. We've got Ege Konuk in the red corner and Shivam in the blue. Shivam popping out the jab early on, holding center of the ring very well.
And that's exactly what Shivam needs to do. He needs to dominate that middle of the ring. You see that circle in the ring? A very classic move, especially people like James Toney and Floyd Mayweather. They would map out where they want to be in that ring and they would stay in that area and they'd be told that's where you're going to be in the ring. Andre Ward used to do it all the time as well. Find an area of the ring where you're going to deliver most of your shots, and that is the circle he needs to be in. Stay in that circle with your jab and then wait till your opponent leaves the circle and you start throwing your power shots.
Almost like your headquarters or your home base, basically.
Yeah, that's probably the best way of putting it, actually. Yeah, exactly like that. Get back to your headquarters, and you see Ege time that beautiful left hand upstairs. Shivam comes right back swinging as well, and that's what Shivam needs to do. As soon as you let Ege start bullying you in a fight, because he can do that. He can bully you in the sense of he will just outbox you if you give him an inch or anything. So I think Shivam really needs to try and outbully Ege in this fight.
Yeah, Shivam, the taller fighter of the two, so I'm liking what I'm seeing so far with his straight punches, right hand and the jab on the outside, controlling the pace. But Ege, for me, needs to do the complete opposite. We saw it early on in the first round where Ege went head, body, head. I'd like to see a lot more of that. Great right hook there from Ege. That took Shivam off the center line.
Beautifully timed by Ege. He was waiting for Shivam to throw that jab and he was going to get underneath it because he's already noticed that Shivam leans when he throws that backhand and that jab as well. He leans to a side and I think Ege is waiting to time that lean to really knock him off balance. Just beautiful stuff by Ege, and this is what we were talking about. Ege is just an absolute robot in that ring. He's just trying to find pieces and he's trying to find openings, and as soon as you give him it, he will take it.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most significant punches he's thrown so far in this fight. We've got a minute to go now in round number 2.
And that is the key here. Timing will be everything. And in an orthodox against a southpaw, you need to have your timing down and you cannot give up any opportunity. If you get underneath a punch or parry a shot, you have to counter. It is the battle of the counters in these particular fights. And it almost looks like Shivam is starting to slow down with 35 seconds to go. Maybe he's punched himself out, or maybe that shot has really affected him.
Jab here from Ege. Shivam trying to come in with the right hand. Again, Shivam with the right hand, getting in and out, missing the counter of Ege.
Shivam getting out of the way of some of these shots as well. For a very long fighter, he's got some very nice head movement and defensive skills. He seems to know how to move his chest well, and this is where Ege needs to be as well. Ege wants to keep Shivam boxing at his pace, and that's exactly what Ege has already done. Ege has now made Shivam box at his pace.
Okay, there you go. That is the end of round number 2. We'll get the replays coming up for you very shortly.
So here we are with some of the action replays from round number 2. So there was that beautiful right hand landed by Shivam, but then like I said, it takes one to give one, and that's exactly what Ege probably needed in that fight, was to be hit with that big right hand to really wake him up that he needs to start taking more opportunities. And that's one thing that we see often with Ege is he waits for these opportunities, but sometimes I'd like to see him force the action as well, especially against someone like Shivam who's so long. Because Shivam is so long, he's not going to really be fighting on the in close distance. So if you just kind of push it and not allow him to fully extend your arms, then you can get on the inside of him and really go to town on his body.
Yeah, well, we saw early on in the first round, Ege was just trying to go behind that left straight, really trying to find it. A little bit too much, I think, but now he's started to come into his groove. Shivam, though, like I said, behind the straight punches, the jab, the right hand, working for him very well. see his cornerman now telling him to start adding on the hooks. This is really starting to heat up, isn't it, this title fight, Jimmy?
Oh, absolutely. I'm loving these types of fights because we've got exactly what we wanted to see. Both fighters have now landed their best shot on one another. Now it's a time for both of them to wake up and really start setting the pace. We are only scheduled for 10 rounds, Alice, and we're already in round number 3.
Yeah, here is a great demonstration of the sweet science. Ege starting this round, popping out the jab. Shivam trying to come back with his own, missing with the straight right.
And you notice when Shivam throws that right hand or that jab, he brings it back to him, but he brings it very low, and it takes a little bit of time to get back to his chin. If Ege can read that quickly, he can actually throw a quick hook as his opponent throws a jab or a right hand. So Ege's really got to time him here, and you can tell that's because Shivam's done a lot of training on a boxing bag.
And there's that hook that you mentioned, Jimmy, as well. I almost thought it was going to be a check right hook as well to get out of the way of the jab, but it looks like Ege is just landing it very flush.
And I think Shivam is just not executing his game plan like his corner has told him. He needs to keep that jab going, but also throwing in those lead left hooks as well. Because right now, Shivam is not utilizing his ability of being the longer fighter who could really use a jab and a lead hook.
Great boxing here from Ege. You see how he's just targeting the body, landing that left straight, going straight down the middle again, lobbing it right through the guard.
This is beautiful boxing. It's almost like you can see he's just been practicing to be Canelo in the mirror, because he's just walking his opponent down with a high guard and he's boxing on the inside, and as soon as he sways away from a punch, he's throwing these big counters as well. Just beautiful stuff by Ege here.
Yeah, let's see how Shivam can react to this. Trying to land his own uppercut, but paying for it by eating a left straight to the body from Ege.
Shivam just looking to get underneath that jab of Shivam. And the reason Ege is able to get underneath these jabs so easily is because Shivam's throwing no feints with his combinations. He's throwing single punch combinations, and instead of actually using a feint within that combination, he's allowing Ege to just read his timing.
That was a good shot though from Shivam. Finally finding a home for that left hook. Straight right left hook, connecting early on and then following on with another left hook.
And that's another thing, if you're dominating a fight, you don't want to get complacent as well, because that's usually where you can lose it. So Shivam has just got to hope that Ege takes his foot off the pedal here.
Yeah, a bit of glimmer of hope from the man from India, Shivam, in round number 3. Let's see if he can hold on to it and make it sparkle a bit more.
And the reason this style works really well for a 10-round fight is Ege is not exerting too much energy in these opening rounds, and I think he realizes when he gets into the later rounds, he can drag his opponent into deep waters and drown him, just like Canelo does. Canelo chips away at you block by block, and eventually he'll just deliver a knockout blow. Let's see if Ege is setting up a trap here.
Jab here from Shivam. Shivam eagerly on the front foot right now, but also very apprehensive, trying to stay out of the way of the counters from Ege.
Both fighters trying to edge, and a nice right hand to the body right at the end of that round, but again, that's an Ege round for me.
Okay, here's the replays from round 3. Seeing both fighters having success with their straight punches, especially Ege's left straight to the body. Really liked how he just landed that so accurately in that round. I really feel like he's found his shot, and that is the shot for him, Jimmy, coming into the later stages of this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts building on that a little bit more in his combinations.
You know, being in the commentary booth, we don't want to kind of show that we're fans of certain fighters. We want obviously to stay neutral, but sometimes when you just witness a fighter that you like also just doing really, really well, it's really hard not to be biased sometimes in our commentary. But the way Ege is boxing, to me, Ali, is just absolute perfect boxing. He's just constantly blocking the shots, he's walking him down with a high guard, and he's really just, again, proving to everybody how you can make a fighter fight at your pace. And there's a big difference here. Ege is cutting off the ring when he wants to. He's not following his opponent. He's actually herding his opponent into certain areas before he delivers those shots. And there's a big difference with following and herding and cutting off the ring. But I'm excited for this fight. It's going well so far.
But also, I like how this fight matches up tactically. Shivam, great long-range fighter, good countering so far. He had a good left hook in the previous round too.
Shivam, to me, has the style to beat someone like Ege. He has the length, he has the jab, and he's got the lead hook. But the difference here is he's not using what he's supposed to do, and that is basically a testament to how good Ege is. Ege has made Shivam not fight his fight. He's made him fight at his pace that he wants him to fight at, and that is, to me, the fight IQ of Ege right now. Shivam has the skills and the tools to beat a style like Ege, but he's not doing it.
Right hand there, cracks down the middle for Shivam. Ege taking a couple of steps back, trying to reset himself. Left hook as well from Shivam.
Nice left hook by Shivam. He was waiting for Ege to step right, and he caught him with that left hook. And I think that's what the corner have been telling him every time, is when Ege is stepping to your left-hand side, that's when you need to throw that lead hook, because it's going to land a little bit more clean when he steps to it.
Yeah, much better from Shivam. Seems to be getting better and better as the fight goes on. We're getting clocks right there with that right hand, that right hook from Ege. As he moved around.
Ege did it right back to him. As soon as he stepped, he threw that right hand upstairs, and it's just a beautiful move that Julian the Hawk Jackson used to throw, which is he would make you step to the way he wants you to step and then just throw a hook whilst you're moving. And those shots, when you move into it, is like being hit by a bush. You move into it, it hurts even more. Just great stuff so far. But here we see Shivam finally coming alive, and this is what Shivam needs to do. He needs to be more active.
You see now the tactics changing for Shivam. He's not so much a counter-puncher anymore. He's building up his combinations, being a lot more aggressive. See there, good jab to open up the pathway for the right hand.
So when we saw Canelo fighting Bivol, the way Bivol beat him was just by constantly pressing him with jabs and staying at that medium to long range. So when you know that Ege likes to turtle up and fight at that medium to close range, Shivam needs to almost release his inner Bivol and just keep at the long range with the jab and the right hand and not allow himself to get caught up fighting on the inside. He needs to stay disciplined in this fight.
Shivam on the front foot trying to land the right hand. Ege going downstairs with the left straight to the body. Not been a great round for Ege so far, but he lands that left straight.
Yeah, this has been a great round for Shivam, and this is the pace that Shivam needs to be at, but it's a very hard pace to keep up if you haven't got the fitness level to back yourself up. But this is the other thing here. If you haven't got the knockout power to take somebody out, eventually they can start chipping away at you. But again, Ege, to me, has really just reserved his energy, and this is only the 4th round. We're only 40% of the way through this fight. So will it go the full 10 rounds? We're going to find out, I guess.
That's the clapper for the 10-second mark in round number 4. Ege flashing out a jab. Shivam trying to answer with 1-2.
And that's one of those jabs where it doesn't have to land for it to actually have something. And to me, that was a Shivam round. I mean, I'm not sure about you, Ali, but let's see some of these action replays. You see Ege coming in, but Shivam catching him as he's coming in. And although these shots that we're seeing right now, Shivam's not landing clean on Ege, but they are scoring points in the eyes of the judges. And there was that classic right hand when he noticed that Ege was dipping down to go to the body. So to me, I think Shivam had a great round, but if Shivam knows this, if Shivam knows that round went really well, that's where he needs to come alive. That's where he needs to start being more active, because the way you're going to beat a fighter who likes to use a high guard and counter you is keep them constantly under pressure with a jab at the long range, and that's exactly where Shivam needs to be. What about you, Ali?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Jimmy. I thought we're both on the same page with that round. I thought Shivam won it. I thought he boxed it so well, just keeping the fight long on the outside, and he got a bit more confident as well. Started working off behind the jab to set up his right hand, set up his left hook, and you can see a bit of frustration on Ege's face right now when he's in his corner in between rounds.
Yeah, I even saw his coaches shaking his head as well, because I think they realized he was getting hit with shots he didn't need to, and that's one of those things about confidence, Ali, is Ege was confident he was winning, so he probably allowed his opponent to get in too close, but when Shivam got confident, he started believing in his shot. So confidence is a very interesting thing here. Anyways, here we are, round 5, Ali.
No, confidence is definitely key in boxing. You must have it in abundance. Straight right, and here comes Shivam. Much more of a spring in his step from that earlier rounds, which we both think on our unofficial scorecards he won.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the thing we were talking about with the confidence thing. Once you believe in yourself, that's where you can come alive. But now we're really going to see how Ege is going to come alive when he's really tested by somebody who's actually fighting back at this caliber. Can Shivam stay on that back foot, deliver the jab with the right hand and maybe a lead hook and keep it nice and clean? That's what's going to win this fight for Shivam if he can keep this pace up. But that's the key here. Can you keep that pace up?
Well, we'll find out soon. It's been a bit of a frustrating round here for Ege. It's almost been a matador versus a bull at the moment. Shivam being the matador and Ege being the bull. Jim, you mentioned earlier about cutting off and following. It's something that we talk about a lot on LWC Super Champ. Myself and Kevin Amlid see it all the time in Muay Thai, and it happens in boxing too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were thinking the exact same thing where we saw Ege starting to follow Shivam in that moment of that round where Ege is no longer trying to cut off or hurt him. He's now following his fighter, which is a sign of frustration and somebody who's trying to get back at their opponent. I'd like to see Ege just kind of take a back foot here, take a breather, and go back to what he was doing in the first and second round, because right now Shivam is now at his own pace and now confident. I think Ege has got to push the pace a little bit faster and use a few more foot feints as well. But a beautiful left hand upstairs by Ege. This is a great fight, Ali.
It really is. I mean, one thing we can say about Ege is really picking his shots, trying to make sure he doesn't waste them at all. I just think he just needs to keep going back to the body, Jimmy. He's had so much success with those body shots in this fight so far.
Yeah, and you know what they say about going to the body. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. But if you can take away their gas tank and you can still do it in the fifth round, bound that later round, you can really deliver those knockout blows which hit a lot harder. And Ege now needs to come alive in situations like this.
Yeah, he definitely does. Shivam, though, controlling the outside of the ring very well. Great lateral movement from the Indian fighter. The right hand there. So you just hit and move. Guerrilla tactics here. Hit and move, hit and move, hit and retreat. Keep making your opponent follow you.
And you can see the way Shivam has finally changed up his tactic. If you notice, like we said, with the headquarters or the circle in the middle, Shivam has now done a great move, which is he's now making Ege stay in the center of the ring, and he's dancing around him with a jab and not allowing Ege to really move anywhere off there. So Shivam has just absolutely shown how to change up your game plan. Just some great head movement, great footwork, and this is what boxing is all about. The tables, to me, have now turned. Shivam looks like he's now in control of this fight. Who's got the better gas tank, Ali? Let's go to some action replay.
Yeah, what a round that was. See Shivam just hit and move all the time, like Jimmy pointed out, controlling the fight so well, especially off of his jab and his right hand. Just completely picking Ege off as he was coming forward. Ege did have some success though on the inside with his shots to the body. He's just really struggling to get a hold of this fight and, like you point out, Jim, control it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ege did really well in the opening rounds where he had full control, but I think Ege's got to go back to believing in himself and what worked in that first round. What has Ege done differently from the first round to the round that he was just in is Ege is no longer trying to hurt his opponent. He's now following his opponent. He needs to start cutting off the ring and using more foot feints as well, in the sense of, you know, pretend you're going right but go left, or cut left and go twice. But Ege needs to change up his footwork. Like you see in Muay Thai, instead of taking 3 steps, you take 2 faster steps as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. In Muay Thai, completely different. We'll get some Muay Thai coming up later on. But in boxing, I mean, so much can go wrong if you get your footwork wrong. And here we go, round number 6 right now. We are set for 10, but this has been such a great fight between these two.
Yeah, I mean, the high guard really works when your opponent wants to keep stepping towards you and you've got the knockout power to back it up. But if your opponent isn't fighting the way you want them to fight and you're using a high guard, you need to mix things up. Ege needs to go back to that jab, but jabbing to the body and keeping that jab to the body going and really trying to set up that left hand now. I think the left hand for Ege is what's going to do it for him, is setting up that left hand upstairs, because right now, Shivam is just going to keep dancing around with the jab.
Which is exactly what he's doing. I mean, Shivam, the jab is so good, it's so crisp, it's so well timed. There's that left hand though from Ege. Great times to hit your opponent is when they sort of unwind, unload with a shot. You make them, you just crack them as soon as they're exposed like that. Good timing from the Turkish fighter. Yeah,
because when you're throwing a punch, you're often breathing out as well. So obviously your abs do tense. So when someone brings that hand back, that's when you crack them to the body, and it really hurts them a lot more. And that's where Ege needs to be. Ege needs to be more active here. And if you've noticed as well, Ege is no longer throwing those feints. He's no longer twitching with his shoulders. He's just throwing some single punch combinations. I think Ege needs to get busier with his feints and start going to that body. Even if he's just changing levels, going down low with his knees and a high guard, that's what he could do here.
He got tagged by that straight right though from Shivam, and again Shivam tries to go for that right hand again over the top.
Big left hand upstairs landed by Ege, and Ege could come alive here. He seems to be waiting to counter Shivam, but the thing with waiting to counter someone like Shivam throws shots whilst moving, and every shot he throws he's already on the move as well. It's very hard to keep trying to counter someone who's always moving when they throw shots just like that. It's hard to counter a moving man unless you set up a trap.
Ege with the uppercut to the body, then going up high.
This has been a very even round though. We've seen Shivam be a little bit more active and land a lot more shots, but Ege to me has landed the more significant shots as well. So this is one of those entertaining things where we've got significant strikes versus volume striking, and that's what Shivam is. He's volume striking. Ege is trying to land those devastating shots. It's a great matchup, exactly what boxing should be.
Left hand there from Ege again, landing the left hand, popping out the jab. We're going to hit the 20-second mark now in round number 6. We are set for 10 rounds, so just over the halfway point. Shivam getting hit there by that left hand.
And he didn't overstay his welcome. He got hit by the right hand and stepped away, but this is not what Shivam needs to do. He doesn't want to get careless. He needs to stick behind that jab. Ege will eat you up if you get careless in these moments. So we're going to get some action replays. What a fight. I would hate to be a judge of this one. Let's see some action replays. So this is where both fighters almost were smothering one another with their shots. They weren't landing clean punches. They were almost hitting the guard of one another. But these shots still make a difference because it allows your opponent to really think about the power of your opponent if you hit your guard. So to me, that was a great round, a very close one, a very hard one to call. I mean, I still think Shivam probably won that round just due to the fact that he kept moving and he was sticking and moving with a lot of shots. To me, Ege was landing more powerful shots, but I think Shivam was more accurate to an extent of just throwing volume. What do you think, Ali?
Yeah, well, like you said, a tough round to call between those two. Really tough rounds.
I mean, to me, this fight almost looks like a draw at the moment. I mean, you've got to say Ege was dominating early on, and then they completely switched where Shivam, I wouldn't say Shivam was dominating the round, he was just outworking Ege, which is a big difference between dominating and outworking. So it's just a case of Ege is still in this fight, and Shivam, if he can keep the pace up, could win this fight just through sheer volume alone.
It's all about getting past the jab of Shivam and avoiding the body punches of Ege.
Yeah, I mean, a very interesting push there. You cannot use two arms when you hit your opponent, also known as the lobster punch, but you can't push your opponent here. But very quickly the fighters get back up. No one's complaining. We're back into that action there, and we see it's a very much of a slower pace at this moment in time in comparison to the other rounds. But Shivam holding center ring, Ege trying to exploit his guard with the left hand, and he does. And we see Shivam looks a little bit more tired, a little bit more sluggish here. And if Ege can read into that, that's where Ege can come alive. A jab doesn't need to land for it to have some damage. And that's where Ege needs to be. A beautiful slip of a counter there. Ege, high guards coming forward. Shivam, though, jousting out on the outside with that jab. Ege beating him to the jab then. Shivam should not be beaten to a jab when he's the longer fighter on the outside. A nice right to the body, and he goes into a southpaw stance here as well. And some very unusual tactics by Shivam. And I think Ege's telling the ref, you can't flick out a shot like that. Yeah, Ege just needs to focus on the fight now. Let the referee call the fouls and all that. Ege coming forward. Looks like a sense of frustration, but tagging him with the right hook though. Finally, Ege found his groove, but he eats a right hand as he came in there. Ege had his groove and kept it going, but then took a back foot once again, and Shivam seems to have almost recovered from those big shots he took. Shivam, again, popping out that jab. Really good piercing jab here from Shivam. And it is just a battle of the jabs in these situations. Shivam almost seems to be throwing out some very awkward shots that he doesn't need to do. He just needs to stick with the basic 1-2, the bread and butter punches as we like to call them. 1-2 with a left hook in there. That's all he needs to stick behind. Ege, to me, just needs to get behind, believing in his head movement, getting underneath these shots, attacking the body and going up high whenever he gets the chance.
Ege missing with the left hand.
And to me, Shivam almost looks like he's just been watching some very interesting footwork videos because he keeps dancing around like Lomachenko, but it's not working the way he wants it to work. I think Shivam needs to stay to a game plan here, and Ege just needs to keep chopping down the tree.
Ege trying to land that right hook. He's tried that a few times now from this range. Really needs to set that up with a jab, in my opinion.
A great right hand landed by Shivam as well. Final moments of this round, and neither fighter want to commit. And usually when neither fighter want to commit at the later end of the round, it's because they're tired and they're ready to start recovering. Anyway, some action replays, Ali.
Yeah, what a round it was. See Ege on the replays with the success that he had with his straight punches. Shivam did also have some straight punches of his own that landed quite effectively. Just how he controlled the outside of the fight. The whole fight here, we saw him switching stances to southpaw, catching us and Ege off guard.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's one of those situations where when you saw those first rounds, it's very hard to believe the fight would start to turn this way. But we've had a situation which is beautiful boxing, which is the first rounds I gave to Ege. The later rounds I gave to Shivam, and then another few rounds I've almost gave it a draw. So we're now in one of those weird situations where it just depends which side of the ring you're watching this fight. As commentators, we get to see every angle. We get to see what you see on the TV. The judges only get to see one side of the fight, one angle, so to speak. So sometimes the judging is going to be very different to what we're actually seeing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jimmy. Here we go, coming into round number 8 now. We've got another 2 rounds to go potentially after this round. It's been such a technical battle between these two, but who wants it more? The UBO Continental Super Lightweight title is on the line.
And I think you've nailed it there, Ali. It's who wants it more at this stage, because to me it's quite an even fight, and it's a case of who wants to dig down deep, who's done the most training, who's got the better cardio, and who can keep the pace up. Because to me, this fight right now in these later rounds is all about pacing. Whoever can keep a faster pace and keep that intensity up is going to win this fight.
Jab there from Ege. Catching Shivam again off balance with that right hook. Catching him clean right there with the right hook as well.
And you can tell Shivam has got a good amateur boxing background with those footwork drills, but in and out. But it almost looks like he's now trying to stay in Ege's comfort zone, which is almost in front of him, which is an interesting place to be against such a powerful puncher like Ege.
I think Shivam just needs to stick to his tactics from the previous rounds, just stay on the outside and joust Ege as much as he can with that jab.
If Shivam sticks with that jab and just keeps at the pace, keeps dancing around for another few rounds, he could steal this fight away from Ege. But Ege, to me, is waiting for this situation. He's waiting for Shivam to almost start to tire, and that's when he needs to come alive with these very big, stiff shots upstairs. You notice with Ege, every shot he lands is significant, and when he misses a shot, it would have been a significant shot. So Ege is very much a punch placer. He's waiting for perfect moments, but I think sometimes he's got to actually force his action here.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, Jimmy. There's that left uppercut to the body from Ege. Again, trying to tag Shivam with that left hand.
And I think that right hand downstairs was a great shot for Shivam to land. If you can keep going downstairs that right hand, it's really hard to get countered by Ege in a situation. Considering we haven't seen Ege really throw that left hand downwards, Shivam could really just start throwing that right hand downstairs and get out of danger.
Right hook there, clip Shivam. Ege bobbing and weaving as he comes forward. Almost landing with that right hook and going downstairs with the left hook to the body.
Both fighters point out a great effort here as well. Ege getting underneath some of those really big shots attempted by Shivam. And Shivam just a little bit short of the counter shots as well. So again, we're still in that cat and mouse game where I know, you know, and who can ever land that counter shot. Back foot now for Shivam. Shivam just eats a shot as he gets a little bit complacent. That's what we say. Ege will definitely tag you as soon as you get complacent here. Final moments, Ali.
Yeah, and these two just duking it out on the inside. That is the end of round number 8. We've got the action replays coming up, and then we will get into round number 9. Here we go.
Ege. Some of these action replays, a very close round once again. One of those rounds where it's very hard to say who was winning it. Shivam eats a big left hand in that replay where you saw it. Ege just came up from the guard and just really delivered a great shot. But as you can see from those action replays, not a lot was necessarily going on in terms of the punches landed, just a lot of movement. We're coming into round 9 now, and we're in a situation where I think Ege could be down on the scorecard. So if you're in Ege's corner, you've got to be telling him you now need to try and get a knockdown. I think a knockdown could really secure a victory here. And if you're in Shivam's corner, I think you tell him, stay on the outside, dance your way to victory, stick with the jab and the right hand, and if you get yourself in close, grab him. But this is one of those classic moments where you're now relying on your corner to give you really good advice.
Yeah, and that's normally your ace in the hole as well, having a good corner team, because the corner can always see what you can't see. You know, they always can see stuff that you can't see, and they know you so well because they prepared you for this fight.
And it's also one of those classic moments, you will know this, Ali, as you are a fighter, is once you're tired, you know what you're supposed to do, you just can't do it. And I think that's what a classic case is going to be here. You know what you're supposed to do, but can you physically do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that simple thing of just pointing things out that are very, very obvious, you know, that you wouldn't necessarily see if when you're tired, you know, when you're fully fresh, like you can see everything coming. But as the fight progresses, everybody knows you don't hold the same level of fitness, you fatigue, and you can't stay sharp the whole time. So that's where a good corner giving advice is paramount.
Yeah, very well said indeed. All right, great right hand landed by Shivam, and it looks like Shivam still looks fresh. I'm surprised Shivam kept this pace up, because to me, he was breathing heavy in the second and third, but I think he was breathing heavy because Ege was completely lighting him up in those rounds. So I think that's the case here. Shivam has recovered, but he eats few left hands here as well.
Yeah, this is way better from Ege, but pushback from Shivam and complaining of an elbow. But again, he just needs to keep focusing on this fight, let the referee deal with the fouls.
Yeah, you don't want to get into one of those situations where you're just constantly complaining. Just stick to your game plan, let the referee help you out where he can. But here we are, Shivam on that right hand as well, bouncing back and forth. And this is what we said earlier, if he can dance around and just keep sticking that jab, sticking and moving, Shivam can steal this fight away.
Shivam going to the body, something that we haven't really seen him do too much. But he ripped it twice to the body early on. Makes it Ege making Shivam miss and making him pay with that counter left hand.
And Ege should just really push the pace here. He's really landed some great shots. He's found his openings, and this is where he needs to get his opponent. In the latter half of the round, we know Shivam starts to tire, and by the time he's gone to his corner, he gets full energy back. I think Ege's corner's got to tell him, you're in your final minute. This is where he's at his weakest.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, James. Left hand lands there for Ege. Swing and a miss, though, for Shivam. This has definitely been a much better round for Ege. If anything, on my unofficial scorecard, he's got this round in my books.
Yeah, those shots he's landed upstairs, absolute devastating shots. And you can see his brother as well in the corner shouting at him now, telling him how long he's got to go. And that's where he needs to be. He now needs to push the pace, because although we think he's winning, we don't know what the judges are seeing as well. But I think those are some fantastic shots landed by Ege as he marches forward. And this is where he needs to be now.
Yeah, but this is why we like fighters like Ege on this show. They've just improved so much, and it's great to watch them just break down their opponents like this. Also, first time I'm seeing Shivam, and Shivam coming alive now in the final 10 seconds. Uppercut lands, straight punches from both fighters, and that is the end of round 9. Action replays coming up shortly, and then we will go into the 10th and final round. Here we go, here are the replays. There's that jab from Shivam. Such a great stabbing jab. It's been the cornerstone of his offense throughout this fight, but really he kept on missing a few of his punches like we just saw on the replay, and paid for it when Ege just made him miss and made him pay, especially with this straight left.
So that was a great round, and I think we're now in a situation where I honestly don't know who's winning this fight. I mean, Ege, to me, has landed the more significant strikes, the harder punches, and he's really cracked his opponent hard. However, we've also seen that Shivam has just been able to evade a lot of damage sometimes as well by dancing around with the jab. So this 10th round to me could be the deciding situation. You've now got 3 minutes to just go out there. To me, if it was, if you're not sure you're winning, Ege probably needs a knockdown here to really secure that. What about you, Ali?
Yeah, you see, I haven't scored every single round, so I'm not sure. But I'll tell you one thing, James, I've really enjoyed this fight. I've really enjoyed it. I think it's been a great fight between these two. Clash of styles, clash of stances as well. I always love these matchups. Makes things a lot more interesting for me.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, we've seen Ege fight several times. I've seen Shivam fight as well, and this is very technical of what he does, but Shivam usually gets tired, and I've seen Shivam get tired in the later rounds, so this is a fantastic version of Shivam as well. And like I said from the start of this fight, this will probably be one of the toughest fights for Ege, and he's now proving himself as well. You need tough fights.
Yeah, you definitely do. The only way to get better is to beat or fight a better opponent. Ege's dipping down Shivam and trying to target him with a straight right. Ege going to the body, but paying for it by eating a right hand from Shivam.
And this is one of those classic moments of something we've talked about a lot, Ali, of what Sugar Ray Leonard used to say is to win a round, it's all about starting it, landing a combination in the middle and ending it strong. And I think Shivam's got to do that if he wants to try and win this fight, because Ege, to me, is starting to piece Shivam up again.
Good left hand there, counter left from Ege. Had a lot of success with that in the previous rounds. Again, going over the top with it too.
Shivam, to me, seems to be giving this fight away at this moment by jumping in with very awkward shots. And you can't do that with someone like Ege. Ege lands a beautiful left hand upstairs. And I think Ege is now loading up that left hand. Ege looks like he's got Shivam hurt, and he's now piecing him together. This is what we expected from Ege, the late round.
God, he just keeps on tagging him, and now he's going to work with the right hand too. Watch out for the right hook from Ege. Here he comes on the hunt, trying to keep hurting Shivam. This is definitely the opportunity that the young Turkish fighter needs to take, Jimmy.
Whether he knocks him down or not, I think he's now winning this round outright. Ege is now proving what he was trying to do all along, which was try and set up a big knockout shot. He's now following him with a minute to go. Can Ege finish this, and can he stop the great Shivam?
Shivam staying away from the power of Ege, rightfully so. Testing it though on the inside with his right hand.
Big left hand upstairs as well. Ege has found his range, but Ege has now got to take a gamble here. Do I try and knock him down, or do I try and accept I've won this round and hope I've won on the judges' scorecards? But you know what they say, Ali, never leave it in the judges' hands. Try and take your opponent out while you can.
Yeah, 100%. And here comes Shivam just dancing around. Ege using that footwork that has been really good key weapon for him in this fight. Ege though, a little bit too flat-footed, but tags Shivam here with the left hand and tries to follow up with the right hook.
I mean, we've got to give it to Shivam. He's taken some of the biggest shots and never once went down in that fight or in that round. What a fantastic finish by Ege, and I think he may have stole the show with that last round and stole this fight. Here's some action replay. So there was those big left hands landed by Ege. Shivam early on jousting him with that jab, but Ege time and time again proves to us why he's one of the best. Is he always finds a way. He always gets your timing down, and once you give him any bit of air, any bit of movement, he takes it away from you. And that to me was a classic, beautiful round by Ege. So Ege started this fight strong, ended this fight strong, but we've now got to see, have the judges seen it the way that we have seen it, where, look, to me, it could be a draw, but I think Ege has done just enough to win that. But we're going to find out in just a moment. I'm going Ege on my unofficial scorecard by a very close margin, but we're going to see.
Special guest in the ring from Chapman, Herbal Taylor. And also to welcome to the ring, UDO supervisor, Mr. Carlos Costa. And if the living legend, Master Woody Series Alpine, I was told by decision. Judge number 1 scores this 98-92. Judge number 2, 98-92. Judge number 3, 97-93. For your winner, the red corner,